Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Simply Cyber Live. This is a special Simply Cyber original series limited run podcast that we've been doing. This is episode 7 of 8 on how to market your cyber self. Now, if you haven't been following the How to Market Your Cyber Self series up to this point, don't worry about it. You can go back and watch the first 7 episodes or 6 episodes. This will be the 7th of the show, and it will be made on audio, available, like on audio podcasts once the series run is complete. We're super excited about the show today. We're talking with Virginia Kay, CEO expert for marketing company Stratac, and the whole series of Marketing Your Cyber Self is empowering you, the individual, on how to build a brand, connect with the community, deliver value, build that network, and do it in a meaningful, deliberate way. Tricks, tips, and techniques she's been bringing into us all, series run long. And today is no doubt we are going to be talking about, let me throw a little card up here, how to market yourself in the way of marketing power moves, a path to mastering pain-free promo. Now, listen, I myself have been doing, kind of like social media and outbound kind of campaign stuff for years here. And I got to tell you, I always said, I'm not a sales guy. I'm not a sales guy. Like, you yourself might say like, no. I'm not into sales. I'm just into delivering, on the value prop that I'm going to be saying. But there is a way in order to promote yourself, promote the values you can bring, promote to your network, and do it in a way that feels righteous and appropriate, because you're actually helping that network get value from the knowledge and from the, tools and techniques and everything that you have that you can bring to the network. And when you kind of see it through that lens, there's massive value. So I'm super excited. We're going to do a quick 30-minute run. So let's get right into it. Get Virginia on stage and see what Virginia's got to talk about. Stay tuned. Hey, Virginia, welcome back to another episode.
Hey Jerry, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great. I've loved this Simply Cyber original series run. I personally have learned a ton from you. I've seen your notes for this talk. You've got a massive amount, so let's get right into it. First of all, explain to me what is pain-free promotion? Like, let's define level set and then explain how to do it.
So, pain free to me really means looking at this from the user experience design lens to start with. So, when we talk about user experience design, one of the things we talk about is cognitive burden. And that is like, please don't make me think. It's just too much. Like, you're like weighing down my brain strain. And so, pain free means like it's not going to make you, as the creator, super overwhelmed. The second part of this is that it doesn't take a whole bunch of time where this now becomes your new second career of being able to actually go out there and promote yourself. Last part is that it doesn't take a whole bunch of manual work in order to be able to actually get that promotion out there. And the benefit of all of this is that, like, the pain-free part is that it helps you feel confident getting out into the marketplace. And that confidence and feeling really good about stuff is really part of the opposite of pain. It's the good part.
All right. Well, it sounds awesome. I like pain-free things. If I have the choice between a painful experience and a non-painful experience, I'm going to choose the non-painful one every single time. So tell us, how do we do pain-free promotion?
Yeah, so part of this is being able to figure out the different four parts of that original kind of set. And so when I think about the cognitive burden set, the wonderful thing that has really come into its own in 2023 is AI and being able to incorporate it into different ways that we can really truly embrace it as part of a creative flow. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, there's a bunch of stuff that I'll be sharing in terms of different ways that you can incorporate AI into your content generation. But there's a lot of tools out there that can help you get past that first draft. And so that kind of takes the strain off of like the brain drain.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of this that we've talked about in a few other episodes is about being able to collect things from other people, and that way you can use it as kind of like your inspiration file so that you can then make it later your own. And that's just kind of one of those when you're feeling like you're missing the muse and you need it to be able to like create that new thing, but you really don't want to strain the brain. You can go back and find all of those different things, but put them in a good folder. That's one of the things. I have like a million screen grabs, and I was laughing at like the marketing millennials group the other day because they had like, are you really a marketer if you don't have like a million screen grabs? And I was like, oh, I feel seen. That is me. I have a lot of those. And then the other part of that, like making yourself like less stressed, is like finding tools that have really easy user interface. And that kind of falls back to that UX thing, making sure that you know how to use it intuitively. Apple does this incredibly well. Like I remember my mom getting her first iPhone and she was like, there's no booklet. How am I supposed to make this work? And I was like, well, it's supposed to be intuitive, and like find the tools that are intuitive for you so that you can just bring that into your normal set so that you're not like stretching to be like, oh man, I really need to learn how to use Adobe in order to be able to actually do anything creative. And then talk about what you're learning, talk about what you're doing. Really being like in the moment is helpful for like not having that brain strain. I mean, does that resonate for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you talked about that screen grab. One technique that I've seen, I've used it a little bit, but I find it really interesting is, you might have a news story that came out during today's daily cyber threat briefing, if you're interested in attending that, that you had some thoughts on. What's really nice is if someone else had thoughts on it, say it's on a different platform like Twitter, but you're mainly trying to build your LinkedIn network and presence, it's completely cool. And I've seen it used quite effectively. Screen grab someone else's tweet, include their name in it. Don't be scummy and steal their work, but screen grab it, post it onto LinkedIn, and then lend your spin on it or your reaction to it or what have you. And if you can, tag the original poster if you know that, their Twitter handle and LinkedIn handle. I've seen that as an effective way. Plus, as an added bonus, that helps cross-pollinate and collaborate with someone that you don't have to like engage. Like you and I are collaborating on this video right now, but we talked about it before we set it up. This is more of an asynchronous way in order to collaborate almost before the agreement has been made.
Yeah, and I think of it as like content curation, as like you would curate an like collection. And if you think about it as like those interesting things that you're going to put inside of a collection that you're going to comment on later. So like to your point, if you're able to engage the original author, that's a really great way for you to gain additional visibility to their network as well as yours. And I just recommend don't post Jack. That's like one of the kind of like unspoken etiquette things of like, make sure that you're adding to the conversation and that you're not just trying to steal that person's audience.
Yeah, absolutely. That and it's very obvious when that happens too. All right, so let's talk about campaigns. How can we make a campaign efficient and effective? And define campaign, if you would, first.
Sure. So campaigns, I want you to think about as like a creative initiative or something that has a consistent beginning, middle, and end that you're going to be able to follow along a customer's journey or a listener's journey or any person that you're going to interact with. And so when you think about a campaign, it can be on a specific topic, it can be around a specific initiative. And when we think about the ways that we can really try and reduce some of the stress is being able to figure out how you can reduce the amount of time it goes into a lot of these things. So technology is your friend. Automating a bunch of the different tasks that go into a campaign helps you reduce the day-to-day. You still need to respond if you're doing campaigns that are on social media so that you're continuing to be engaged. But figuring out a schedule for yourself where you can time box and be able to say like, this is what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. And it could be the weekend that you're doing that for the weekend, time frame. I like doing my marketing on the weekends because then there's not a lot of bombardment that comes in between. Especially I need that in my creative space. But then being able to use the tools to get past the blank page. There's a lot of different stuff out there, not just, ChatGPT, which I know a lot of us go to nowadays, but there's, Claude and Bard. And you really should check out some of these other AI tools that can help you to really think about that way to shrink the amount of time it takes to get from like blank page to something. And again, like I said, the weekend, it's a great time to batch time, like, be able to do a whole bunch of the same kind of task back to back to back, but also look for those opportunities to be inspired. Look for those opportunities to feel creative and be inspired by like what's going on in your life and what's going on in your friends' lives, your colleagues' lives, what's going on in the news. Think of all those different mediums that you can have to be effective and efficient with your time, but also to be effective and efficient in the messaging that you're sharing with the world.
Oh, heck yeah. And I want to say what's up to everybody watching over on LinkedIn and YouTube. I see all of you in the house right now. Samuel Martin, Philip Martin, Jesse Johnson, Jide E., Mishak. It's great to have you guys here. Taylor McDonald. We really appreciate you being here, Charlie. So one thing you touched on that I found to not be intuitive when I first got going, but is unbelievably valuable is batching. And I just want to comment on it because in case y'all didn't catch it, it's almost like Virginia just said it, but I want to underline it and then bold it and then maybe increase the font size by like two clicks, okay? Batching is where you kind of take the process. Say the process is like find content, think of something cool to say or share, make that cool or something to say to share, post that thing. When you batch it, you do the same steps multiple times and then you move it forward. Meaning, okay, like I'm going to spend an hour on Saturday, okay, and I'm going to find like 5 cool things that I want to share, whether it's a tool, whether it's some cool concept, whether it's something like Jesse Johnson's doing the Slaying Security Plus, I want to share that. Okay, so now I found 5 things. Now move it forward. Okay, here are my thoughts on the 5 things. Now move it forward. Here's like what my graphic looks like. Definitely use graphics, by the way, on LinkedIn posts. And then you can go on LinkedIn and for absolutely free, there are tools that are paid that can do this, but on LinkedIn itself, when you go to post, there's like a little clock next to it. You can post in advance. So on Saturday, you can set up all this stuff in an hour and drip it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which the LinkedIn algorithm is going to reward you for, because if you post all 5 things at once, you might as well have not wasted your time, because it's basically LinkedIn's just going to suppress the heck out of it because it's like, oh, you're spamming the platform. Do it every day. And then guess what? You're actively engaging and providing content without having to mentally switch context and break free of whatever you're focusing on at Monday at 12:30 because you need to go post, right? It does it for you. It's super powerful. I just posted something earlier today at 12:30 on LinkedIn that I scheduled yesterday when I was doing like a little batch processing. So there's massive value in there. You'll see it as an end user benefiting from it when you realize that, oh man, like I'm getting a nice spread of my efforts on different platforms. Any final thoughts before I kind of push you into a different direction, Virginia?
Well, it's kind of like the multitasking thing, right? Like they always say that nobody can effectively multitask. And the truth is that when you try and do the multitasking of, okay, first I'm going to research, then I'm going to write, and then I'm going to do creative. And then you start trying to do that over and over and over again. If you take this batching method, it'll become far more efficient for you. And so then you can spend that time scheduling, making sure that everything is set in the right calendar. Now, like, did I schedule that for Tuesday or was it Wednesday that was scheduled to go out? And you can be more efficient with your time. And that helps a lot with like seeing a reward in it. And then you can start seeing the different feedback that people give you in terms of different times a day and look at those analytics too. But you can be more intentional about what you're doing because you're not just trying to get it done.
Exactly. And, I remember, with YouTube, I would make videos and I would do it not in a batch style. And, I had to stop doing produced videos for a while because I just stopped enjoying it because it was like, oh my God, this is like a grind. Now I've got to do all these steps right now. When in reality, when I did batching, it was much, much more satisfying and effective, frankly. So, Virginia, you've got a million ideas on how to be awesome at marketing. Obviously, you're trying to help all of us. What are your kind of like overarching hacks? And I know that's like a big catch-all, but share with us like tangible, actionable things that we can do right now.
All right, so the first thing is actually going to speak very much to what you do, which is being able to leverage free online cyber marketing education, especially with where we are today. It's a beautiful place in comparison to where I was in high school, where you really had to go and read a textbook and you had to go really pay for education in order to be edified about what's out in the world. There are lots of different online resources, some that are more expensive than others, but leverage the things that are out there for free. And then so when you start taking those digital marketing courses in addition, you can really just supercharge how you're getting out into the world. And then you can look at that from a content creation standpoint, from an email marketing standpoint. I know, Jerry, you're starting to do some of the email comms, so you want to comment on that?
I dabble.
And it's a great thing because then you're creating content that people can interact with, and that can also take the form of blogs. It can take the form of LinkedIn articles. There's a lot of different ways that you, as your thought leadership center, you can create that content for other people, and you also can consume it. And I think that it's important for, as you are consuming it, to realize that you are somebody who is going to continue to learn on your journey of not only education, but in terms of how you're going to position yourself from a marketing standpoint. One of the things I absolutely love to do, which makes me just totally geek out, is go through all of the different tools that I have for analytics and also be able to go look at what different competitors are doing for my clients. So it's being able to understand, like, what are the competition saying? What are influencers saying? And being able to see like how things change over time. And I know we were just at Black Hat, which was super awesome. And I love going. And one of my secret hacks is I go and I take pictures of all of the different booths and all the major campaigns year after year. And I look at what changes because I think it's really interesting to study like what are these organizations investing in. And obviously, if you've been to Black Hat, you know how huge and chaotic it is. But it's also interesting from like what a financial investment these people are making into having floor space and having that message out there. So learning from those competitors and influencers is a really great way to like speed up that journey. And with that, you can start figuring out how they're engaging audiences, how you should be engaging audiences. And like I said, Black Hat it's an industry event. You can go and network with lots of different people at these events to hear what's going on. Be in constant consuming mode of learning. So that's 2. I got a few more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just to break it up a little bit, just as a real example, because I do not think of myself as a creative individual. I feel like I can see things that I like and I think are cool and I would like to emulate, not straight up steal, but emulate. And I just want to share an example. And this is like live, raw, and uncut. Like this happened earlier today. So for the community that's here right now, you're going to get a load of this. If you're listening on the audio, I'll kind of describe it. I want to just show you. This right here is TCM Security. They do a wonderful job of education. I really, really appreciate the work that TCM and the whole team over there do. And these are the certificates that they issue. I have a school too, and I find the certificate that I issue is cool, but it's not as cool as this. And I have a class coming up right now in the fall called Cyber 101. So I'm talking like a graphic person because I'm like, like I know that that's super janky, but I'm like, this is what I'm kind of thinking. Make it look kind of like that. And all I'm sharing this with you is to say, find inspiration from the things that you personally are like, that's cool. Like if you see something and you say, that's cool, well then maybe you should be like, what about it is cool? What do you like about it that's cool? How can you boil it down into the essence of what you are like piqued interest about, and then try to leverage that. Again, I'm not going to just copy and paste this and be like, there it is. But the point is, you stopped and looked at it. You got an emotional reaction to it. The question is why, and then can you repeat it instead of just being like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw some stuff against the wall and see what happens.
Well, to that point, one of the hardest things, and I've laughed about this with AI a lot, is that creating a good prompt is what it's all about, right? Being able to put something into the system that's going to get you a good answer. And so asking good questions is really part of that. And so when you're asking yourself these things, like, is it the color that I'm attracted to? Is it the different shapes? Start asking things like you would ask a little kid. I know that seems kind of ridiculous, but do I like the fact that it's in dark mode? Okay, well, dark mode's the thing that I like now. Maybe I need to create something that has dark mode. Or do I like the fact that it's easy to read? Like the font on this is much easier for me to consume. Or is it something like, wow, I know the brand otherwise, and I have like this cool feeling about the brand in other places. I don't know that it's actually the certificate that makes me feel great. It's just that I think about the brand and I have a positive brand sentiment. But ask yourself those questions of like, what is it about this that I actually am responding to? And then challenge yourself to find other things like it. And so you can do that with competitors. You can do that inside of different industries. And I talk about brands of emulation with my clients when we first start out building websites and things like that, to say like, who do you like? What do you like? And then part of that journey that I walk people through is I'm like, so what I think you're like being drawn to here is the fact that this is a very geometric site. Do you see that? Let's look at some of the combinations of these different things. And as you can teach yourself those things, then you'll be better at articulating to other people. If you don't want to learn graphic design, like send off to somebody else and be efficient with your own time to say, like, listen, I love geometric shapes. And I think that that's really what I want to do. I want it to have a 3D texture. Like you can start to figure out that language for yourself and it'll be more efficient for you going forward. And that's how it becomes like pain-free, is you are becoming better at communicating your needs and wants to someone else.
I love that. I do love that. I want to say shout out to Alex Olson from TCM. So I didn't realize he was in chat. Great to see you, Alex. Love the content that you've been putting out with TCM. Jesse Johnson throwing TCM some love. So love the community on top of everything else. I know you have a million awesome ideas, and usually after every episode, if this is your first one, you don't know this. After every episode, Virginia typically does a like resource dump on LinkedIn tied to the episode, so you can go check out all the tools and tricks and stuff that she's talking about. Virginia, explain to me and audience, how do you identify good concepts quickly and easily? Because that's really a hack, right? Like time is valuable and, like experience is valuable.
Oh, it very much is. And so it's to your point, like just what we were talking about is like, do I like it? And that's one of those important things of like, if you don't like it, what's the chance that other people like you who you're trying to reach out to are going to like it either? So what I start with is tapping into the communities because you have to remember it's a balance, right? You can't just consider yourself to be that universe of one, my opinion matters more than everybody else's. It's about being able to figure out what's resonating with your target audience. So for us, as we're talking to cybersecurity communities, it's important to think about like what's on topic, what's on trend, what are people paying attention to, what are the concerns, what are people like really like picking out of the news, all of those different things. And again, shout out to the Daily Brief to be able to see like all of those things that people are talking about so that you can get into it. And so when you're identifying those concepts, it's being able to see where's that virality coming in, where are other people like jumping on the bandwagon so that you can add your perspective, your points, the additional research that maybe you're willing to do that somebody else isn't. And then you're reverse engineering like what those other people are doing by being able to figure out like, all right, well, every time they do a list, it's a list of the top 5. Can you do a top 7? Is there something else that you can do that's a little bit more? And so like, I think that it's important as we look at like how we identify those concepts is not only based off the social proof, but also by figuring out like what are the topics on those constellation topics. We talked about this a little bit before of like what is that hub and spoke? Like what is that first idea? And then what are the ideas that jump off of that to be able to grow into like bigger and more thematic elements that you can talk about. And with this, as you're looking to engage from like a potential moving from a solopreneur into a business, if that's what you want to do, think about the different ways that you might be able to leverage the different stories of what people are going through. So if you are looking at developing a business and you're starting to have customer stories, that's really awesome. I mean, that's being able to also listen to what customers are complaining about with potentially competitors. That's an opportunity for you to grow yourself, your product, what you have to differentiate on. And being current on cyber threats is something really critical to this industry. Making sure we're not sharing bad information or misinformation is really important. But being current about what's going on inside the world is a really great way for you to quickly and easily be on topic and be able to share things that are relevant to other people. And again, you're not only connected to people in cybersecurity, you're connected to a whole bunch of other people. I know I'm friends with people from high school, I'm connected to people that I worked at other jobs. Those people can benefit from all of those different things that you share, and it may help them have a really bad situation for themselves and or their business. So keeping that information out there doesn't just help the people, and it's not just an echo chamber of cyber. It can go beyond. And that's part of educating your audience. And so I think that's kind of one of those quick and easy ways that people are already generating the content, but you can get out there and do more with it.
Yeah, and so another idea for good concepts that I know that you had mentioned to me before, and I'd love for you to go into it before we round the episode out, is around offering free workshops or free webinars. I know Simply Cyber, all the content on Simply Cyber is available on YouTube, and I produced it, and I don't paywall it and stuff like that, and it's helped me, build a little bit of a brand, a little bit of an identity. And I want to give a shout out to Jesse Johnson, who is doing just this. He just started maybe, I don't know, a month ago with his Slain Security Plus series that he does every Sunday with a community that is interested. And I know that has been going gangbusters, and absolutely Jesse's delivering massive value and absolutely slaying it. So can you talk about that method and maybe some best practices?
One more time with the question without all the praise for Jesse, because I love Jesse, but what are we asking?
Using webinars as an opportunity to
Oh,
give
sure.
back.
So webinars are really wonderful because they give you an opportunity to show your expertise. They give you an opportunity to be scripted, which for some of us, we prefer that. And it also helps with being able to invite other people into the conversation. So for instance, when you're looking at webinars, you have a little bit more time to formulate what the idea is going to be. If there's new and breaking information that you can add into that, there's a nice snippet that somebody can actually take from that and be able to go forward to be able to use this as a resource, but also as something that you can continue to do as just your overall collateral as you build out your brand. It's not too different from live streaming, like in terms of like being able to share your expertise, but there's a little bit more of a script behind it.
I love it. I love it. So guys, if you didn't know, Virginia, this wonderful woman right here who's just been dropping knowledge bombs on us, is available for 15 minutes coffee break, no strings attached. Virginia, what's the deal with this?
So I really love working with entrepreneurs and I love people who are looking at transitioning their careers. I think that it's wonderful for you to be able to figure out a new part of yourself and what you're going to be doing. And I started doing coffee breaks in a way to be able to meet people, especially during the pandemic, to figure out ways to get beyond the four walls of my home. And so coffee breaks are a really great opportunity for me to meet you, for you to meet me, and for us to talk about something that you're passionate about, and maybe for us to be able to brainstorm a specific topic that you have in mind that you'd like a marketing expert to weigh in on. So use the coffee break, come in, we'll talk for 15 minutes. I have a form on Calendly that you can see right there. And basically it'll ask you a question of like, what do you want to talk about? And in that 15 minutes, it goes by pretty quickly, just like these 30-minute segments do. And what we'll do is we'll kind of hit through some of the things that are burning desires for you to get, somebody who really understands how to market yourself and how to get yourself out into the world, and just get my opinion on a few things.
There you go. So I'll drop a link to this coffee break. I mean, it's fairly easy to write, but I'll drop a link in chat. I do see Firos Lam asking if there's a place for Q&A. I will say we don't typically do Q&A because it's so tightly packed. But Firos, we have 3 minutes. So if you have a question, you can get into chat really quick. Virginia can take it. Virginia, any final thoughts? Any way to kind of set people's minds at ease around taking this first step?
So I'm going to spam you with a whole bunch of different products really quickly. I make no money from any of these, but I do use them for all of my life to make things work better for myself. Content creation. Use Grammarly and Hemingway app to really help you with copy editing. Canva, you've heard me talk about it before. It's $15 a month. I've also recently learned about Venngage. It's 19 and it can help with some of those more complex assets if you want to be building out ebooks and whatnot. AI, don't just stick with ChatGPT. There's a lot of other options out there. Check them out. Social media, I got a few on the list of things that are from like the best budget to like things that are great for individual contributors. So if you think about like Zoho Social, Buffer, Hootsuite, Social Pilot, Sprout Social, there's different things in there that are different for different purposes. So like Zoho is great for individual creators versus like if you're doing TikTok, you want Social Pilot. So check out those different platforms if you're looking for ways to like start scheduling your social media and keeping control of it. Another way to be able to get your message out there is through email marketing. And so some of the tools that I've used are MailChimp, Constant Contact, and ConvertKit. They're super helpful. There's autoresponders for onboarding different people, using some of that automation in place to be able to help you. Boomerang's a great tool. It's another $20, but you can start putting it inside of like your G Suite to be able to remind you to do stuff, interact with a lot of different people. And also shout out to HubSpot. They do a lot of really great content marketing, and they also have a lot of free tools. So check them out. Analytics, if you have a website, Google's helpful. It's getting a little more complex with Google 4. I'm not in love, but there's also other tools that you can do to be able to check how people are interacting with you. So like ClickFunnels, Unbounce, Instapage, all of those are different ways to be able to test how things are resonating with your audience. And then the last part of this is don't do the things that you suck at. Like, don't spend the time really committing to something if you are not going to love it and you are not committed to getting better at it. Think about the different ways that you can delegate different tasks to people who are unpaid or paid. Look at different things that you can hire freelancers or people off of Fiverr or Upwork, and use virtual assistants to handle some of that batching. If you don't want to be through the process of putting everything into a scheduler, maybe a virtual assistant's the right way to go. But all of those different ways of being able to like push out to other people and be able to focus on what you're really great at is going to make you much more amenable and have it be far less painful to be able to get out and market yourself.
I love it. Thank you so much, Virginia. Guys, I hope you got tons of value from Virginia's talk today. I certainly did. Darren Maude, I saw he mentioned, didn't realize this was a whole series. This is episode 7 of 8. We've got one more in 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, we are doing the show. You can go back. I am bundling them up as a podcast, so you will be able to consume them in like, one large like ice cream sundae version where you can just mush it all up in your face and get all of Virginia's knowledge and experience. But that's going to do it for this episode. Virginia Case, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and knowledge with us. Everybody in chat, Firos, the mods, Jesse, Justin, Darren Mott, folks over on LinkedIn, folks on YouTube, Alex Olson from TCM dropping in. Holler at you. Thanks so much, and until next time, stay secure, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed that content. Keep the cybersecurity train going by connecting with the other Simply Cyber community resources. We have the Discord server that's lively and always keeps the conversation going. You can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. And also every single weekday morning on the Simply Cyber channel, we're doing live daily cyber threat briefings, 8 a.m. Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We're doing live stream interviews with industry experts, and we produce videos that we push out every Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry from Simply Cyber. I hope you enjoyed the content. And